I was originally going to make a video on the Iceborne update, The Final Stand. One with some funny clips and talking about how I've fallen in love with Clutch Claw Boost. However, something came out that I had to talk on since I feel like I need to say something. A 13-second teaser trailer for the Monster Hunter movie which has people disappointed. I'm one of the ones disappointed as well, despite avoiding movies as of recent due to issues. So for those confused, you might be wondering why this trailer has problems. A movie trailer is meant to give us a taste of what the movie has to offer. Your trailer, no matter how long or short, should help the audience decide whether to see the movie or not. And unfortunately, the trailer fails because of the scene it chose to present itself with. We see a military group with guns and a vehicle going through the desert as a Black Diablos attacks. The only Monster Hunter thing about the trailer is the monster in the thumbnail and last few seconds. No insanely large weapons, no memorable characters, just a Black Diablos. If it wasn't for the Black Diablos and title, I almost would have mistaken it as a generic monster movie. I'm sure others might think the same if we didn't see iconic monsters or they made their own. Remember that this is a 13-second trailer meant to be the hook to go see the movie. When your hook spits in the face of the source material the movie is based on, well, of course you'll get people riled up and worried as dislikes and comments will show. Let's not forget that if this is all someone sees the movie trailer, oh boy, they likely won't see the movie period at all unless some other trailer fixes that. Cause all we have to work off of is this trailer of military people fighting a Black Diablos, which just feels like pointless action shoehorned in as many movies try to do. Some people are wondering why this trailer is a problem, or admire the idea of modern weapons against monsters. For those wondering why this is a problem, this trailer does not represent Monster Hunter. For those believing that this will be modern day Monster Hunter, that sadly won't be the case. This is meant to be an isekai, where the characters end up in the Monster Hunter world. An isekai, for those who are unfamiliar, is a term used to describe a particular genre, one where characters from Earth are transported to a new world, usually with fantasy theme. Of course, a Monster Hunter isekai isn't a bad idea if you remember the collaborations. May I remind you, Metal Gear Solid, Final Fantasy, and even Witcher end up crossing paths. Although it's more like Monster Hunter crossing paths with Metal Gear, but you get the point. What really troubles me is how Paul W.S. Anderson handled his other movies. Paul W.S. Anderson is the director, producer, and screenwriter for the Resident Evil movies. Movies which don't care about the source material and try to push fan service and pretend it does. If you need an idea on why the Resident Evil movies don't work, please check the Fourth Snake's video. His video is the reason I even learned of why the entire Resident Evil movie series doesn't work. It also led me to his content on fighting game stories and other sorts of media. What I'm getting at here is that Milla Jovovich plays Natalie Artemis in the Monster Hunter movie. You know who else Milla Jovovich plays? Alice, from the Resident Evil movies. Milla Jovovich is Paul W.S. Anderson's spouse and is often present as a self-insert. This is seen especially in Resident Evil Apocalypse, based on Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, wherein Jill Valentine, the main character, is demoted to second fiddle to Alice. I'm talking about Mary Sue levels of demotion where the character is meant to make the other one look good. I know how much the term Mary Sue is misused nowadays, so let me break it down. A Mary Sue, or Gary Stu, is a character who is perfect to the point of absurdity, usually in personality, skills, powers, and other qualities that make them perfect. They can tackle obstacles with little to no prior knowledge or training, everyone admires them and they're usually the center of attention, and they often have powers or skills only they possess for unexplained reasons. Most Mary Sue stories focus on how good the main character is, which is one of the reasons why recent movies have been bothering people lately. The push for female empowerment has led to recent movies turning into Mary Sue stories. As you know, nobody wants to see a movie where the main character is absolute perfection. We can't grow attached to someone if they don't show signs that make us like or enjoy them. Also, just so that I don't get murdered in my sleep, Gary Stews exist and are as much of a problem. To explain the overall problem, we have ourselves a movie doomed for failure, especially if you were to analyze the problems of the previous Resident Evil movies. A Monster Hunter isekai fanfiction starring the director's spouse while using cheap fan service. All the while, the main character keeps showing off how cool of a hunter she is, needs no training or skills with dual blades because she's military and will adapt quickly, and is being eyed by the hunter, who likely presents himself as a love interest later on. I know many will probably say not to judge a book by its cover. I like to argue that that isn't the case if the book presents itself like this, because it doesn't give us enough to actually consider looking into it. Some closing thoughts I'll end off on is that I don't care if anyone else sees the movie. Make no mistake, I am not here to tell people to not see the movie or condemn them for doing so. If you wish to see how Paul Anderson decides to ruin this movie, be my guest. I believe that similar to the Resident Evil movies, the Admiral and the Hunter are fan service bait, because by including characters from the most recent game, it totally makes it Monster Hunter, even though the handling of the Resident Evil characters in the movie show otherwise. Also, the Monster Hunter official Twitter admits that it is in fact a Black Diablos in the trailer. Black Diablos are female Diablos in heat and have both toughened hides and heightened aggression. Just in case anyone tries to make up weird theories on how military guns could work against her. If you need me, I'll be throwing my corpse at Fatalis while he makes me a personal chew toy. Maybe when the movie actually comes out, it may be a shining gem under a pile of dung. But I'm keeping my expectations low when the movie was slated for 2021 and jumped to December.
Are you excited for Monster Hunter? Don't be.